Alright, Yankee, I went ahead and made a blue-black control deck with some aggressive creatures in it as well. I figured I'd go ahead and make you a video just to kind of show um, the basics of how I played through it. I think I've only got one card in here that might be out of the range of the $2.50 deck, but you can swap it out, and that's Preordain. Preordain's fairly expensive, but you can swap it out with Brainstorm, which is functionally similar. It filters your library and allows you to draw a card, but it's just not quite as good as Preordain. Preordain is one of the best cards in the format. The ability to scry 2 and draw a card is really, really awesome, and it's actually banned in Modern because of that. Anyway, so I like this initial hand. I got 3 lands. I got something to do with Preordain. Ravenous Rats is great early to play because it's going to force them to discard a card, which is going to build towards our card advantage. So card advantage wise, I've got 2 cards that help me draw a card that helps me get rid of one of their cards, and a card that helps me kill one of their early creatures. I don't have a creature yet other than this Ravenous Rats, which is a 1/1, but I'm generally okay with that because a lot of my creatures have that delve mechanic, so I want cards in the graveyard so they'll be cheap anyway. So he's blue and red, which immediately makes me think either the Blitz deck. Sorry, I gotta try to find this here. Which makes me either think immediately the Blitz deck or a blue-red control. I'll probably fare better against a Blitz deck because I've got answers for all their creatures. So I'm hoping for a Blitz deck. So I play Evolving Wilds. I could have done a couple different things there. What I wanted to make sure I could do is I could play Ravenous Rats on turn 2, because I'm not real worried about card draw yet, so I'll save the Preordains. So I'm going to go ahead and wait till his end step. I'll sacrifice Evolving Wilds, grab a Swamp. So now I've got the Swamp for Ravenous Rats. So I drew another card, another discard for him. So that's great. So I'm going to go ahead and play my Island, and I'm going to go ahead and play my Ravenous Rats. I'm going to make him discard a card. So that's great. Either opponent that I'm playing against, if I was playing against a true blue-red control, my guess is he probably counterspells me here, because Ravenous Rats is such a pain. Having to discard a card is really unfortunate early in the game. Anyway, so we move on. And we find out what he's playing. He's playing the Izzet Blitz deck. Izzet, of course, meaning red and blue. And he plays the Nivix Cyclops, which is actually kind of one of the tougher creatures to get rid of in the deck. So I'll have to look for a Chainer's Edict, hopefully. Doomblade would also work. And just like that, Chainer's Edict pops up. So since he's only got one creature, I'm going to go ahead and make him get rid of this right now since he's tapped out. It means he can't do any counter spells. This is a one-turn kill if he has the right cards. This creature is capable of a one-turn unblockable kill, and I don't have anything else that can kill it, so this is the perfect opportunity to play my Chainer's Edict. Go ahead and hit him for that. Now he's crying. And then I will go ahead and play an Island, and then I will Preordain, because why not? So with my Preordain step, I'm going to look through what we got here. And I'm looking for creatures, so I've found 2 creatures that I can cast. So I'm going to go ahead and put Stormbound Guy second and the Sultai Scavenger first, because I've already got 2 cards I can get rid of. So the Delve mechanic, if you sacrifice cards from your graveyard, it pays part of this cost. So I could conceivably sacrifice 2 and cast him next turn, or I could play Preordain, sacrifice 3, and then cast him next turn as well. So I figured he'd be better than the other one, because the other one I could play next turn, but I couldn't also play Preordain next turn. So with this guy, he's a little bigger, and I can play him twice. So we'll go ahead and get in for a little damage there. So he's played Delver of Secrets. This is a card our deck uses as well. It's only a 1/1 normal creature. It's actually more dangerous early. If you play it turn 1, it's really frustrating to deal with because you have to kill it off, because if it flips turn 2, it's going to start doing 3 damage every turn flying, which is a little tough. But I've got this disfigure, so I can take care of it even after it flips. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm not actually going to, I think, try to kill it this turn, because I don't need to. If it flips, I'll leave open disfigure. So I'm going to go ahead and attack with the Ravenous Rats, because I'm fine with the trade. He obviously won't trade. And let's see what I do here. I think I preordain. Preordain to draw a card. I draw another Chainer's Edict, so I'm actually great with both of these. I need a land, I need a Chainer's Edict. I need a land first, or the Chainer's Edict first, so I'll have that available if he plays something. But I'm probably just going to try to hit him with this figure on his turn, so I'll leave mana up. So he does not flip his Delver, so I'm not even going to worry about killing it yet, because it's only a 1/1. Actually, yeah, it looks like I do try to kill it. I go ahead and I'm like, well, so he Vapor Snags it back to his own hand. Now that's okay. Like, he wasted my card, but he basically cost himself a turn. So I'm fine with that. If he's the only way his deck's gonna win is through a fast-paced game plan. The longer this goes on, the worse the odds get for him, because these Chainer's Edicts can be played twice. I've already got one in the graveyard, so I've got 3 more removal already for him, and I'm about to make him discard cards. And instants and sorceries is really what drives this deck, so he's going to play his Delver again, but I cost him a turn. So I'm going to pay 5 to delve, so I'm going to get rid of everything but my Chainer's Edict. So I still have to pay 2 to cast my Sultai Scavenger. But that still leaves my Chainer's Edict open. And I should have attacked there with the Ravenous Rats. That was a mistake on my part. So I don't quite want to make him sacrifice anything yet. He goes ahead and does some stuff on the end of my step. So it looks like he had... Now, he does a bunch of shit on my end phase with his instants. He probably had a counter spell up, so I saw the 2 blue mana up, and I didn't want to waste my Chainer's Edict on it. So his Delver does not flip again, so I'm fine with that. Plays another land, and we're at a bit of an impasse here. Now I'm in an interesting situation here. I'm going to go and play Mind Rot on him to force him to get rid of 2 of his cards, or use a counter spell on this so that I can hit him with Chainer's Edict this same turn. I believe is what I do. Yeah, let's see here. So now he has no cards in hand, so I know I can play my Chainer's Edict. Oh, I don't know why I didn't play my Chainer's Edict right then. That was kind of dumb of me. I'm looking for land. So I grab a land. I grab some more rats. So now I'm actually going to get really in control. And now I play my Chainer's Edict. So that worked out well. So I actually got to play that very... I was lucky I drew a land. I was rolling the dice there because I knew I could play Chainer's Edict next turn. And with him only having 1 card in hand, have it very unlikely to be a counterspell. So I wasn't too worried about that. So anyway, he has to sacrifice his Delver. We go ahead and move on to the attack phase. Do our 1 damage. So even though we're only ahead by 3 damage here, we're way ahead in game tempo. He's got 0 cards in hand. I've got a good creature in hand. And I've really wrecked his game plan. And I've got 2 Chainer's Edicts in the graveyard to still use. So he's only got 1 card in his hand, so we'll play Ravenous Rats right now. Now this is kind of dumb of him to do, actually. So he plays Vapor Snag because he's going to lose it. So he sends Vapor Snag back to my hand. Ravenous Rats back to my hand. But the problem is he sent it back to my hand so I can make him discard again next turn. So that was a really dumb move on his part. So he doesn't have to discard a card, but now I just go ahead and play my Stormbound Geist. because I know he doesn't have removal, and even if he does have removal, this is undying, so it only comes back stronger, so I hope he removes it. Stormbound Geist is great for that reason. It's very removal resistant. You have to kill it twice. Alright, so he couldn't play anything on his turn. And so I go ahead and hit my Ravenous Rats again on him. And now he has to discard whatever he kept in his hand. I'm guessing it was some sort of creature he was worried that I would kill. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and keep this island in my hand. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 land. So I'm going to try to make it look like I can't quite do the Chainer's Edict. So I'm holding the island in my hand knowing I can play it the turn that I want to play the Chainer's Edict. Anyway, so I know I can attack for 3. And next turn I'll start doing 4 damage. So we've got the game fairly well controlled. He has no creatures on board. He's top decking. And his creatures all require multiple instants and sorceries to really get going. So I'll go ahead and crack my Evolving Wilds for another swamp. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I guess I kind of outed my plan there of... So I am showing the ability to cast Chainer's Edict now. So that I guess I thought I had 1 less land than I did. Not that it really matters. Like, I mean, he knows, if he's played at all, he knows Chainer's Edict's coming back. It's just a matter of, like, hoping he'll tap out ahead of time. So now he's got card draw now. So he draws a card with his Preordain. He plays another Delver of Secrets. And you know what? I'm 100% fine with him having that unflipped Delver of Secrets, because I'm going to attack with all 3 to do 4 damage to him. Now he's on a really tight clock, and he can't race me with a Delver, so I'm not even really worried about removing the Delver of Secrets. So he Vapor Snags my Stormbound, which is actually probably the best way to remove it, because I have to cast it again at least. But I do 2 damage with my little rats, and I've got enough mana up to cast my Stormbound and my other Stormbound. And again, I don't care about either of these getting killed. If he tries to lightning bolt them, it's all the better for me. He has to bolt them twice and use up a whole turn. He's down to 9 life. I've got 4 creatures out. His creature does flip this time, I believe. Yep, it flips. I can't remember what he showed me. Maybe Ponder? Or Preordain, I think. Yep, so he draws another card. He uses Gush. He sacrifices 2 islands to pay Gush's cost, which draws him extra cards. Then he uses Gataxian Probe to look at my hand, sees I only have an island, draws yet another card. And then we get to, I think this is the last turn. Yeah, so I draw Doomblade. So I don't even have to use my Chainer's Edict. I can just use this. And I probably shouldn't have even used it on his creature, because really the only things that could potentially even bother me at this point would be Kiln Fiends and Cyclopses, because there's no way he'll race me with a 3-2, with me being ahead by 11. And ahead in board state and cards, and, well, I guess not cards anymore. He's got 3 cards in hand. So he plays Mutagenic Growth to give his creature, to make his creature good enough to block. This is me trying to unfuck my mana situation. There we go. And I just go ahead and Doomblade his creature, and that will end the game, because he just quits. So I Doombladed his creature, so I was going to do 2, 4, 6 damage out of 7 left. I wanted to do that before he blocked. So anyway, he probably should have declared a blocker first and then cast Mutagenic Growth on it, because at least he would get the benefit of a block. Casting Mutagenic Growth on it before declaring a blocker, it gave me the opportunity to kill him right away and basically put the game away. So anyway, the deck's pretty fun, as you can see. I'll go ahead and go into the collection here. So I made a couple changes from what I put up on the web page. The Preordain I already had, so I went ahead and threw that in, but I would just swap it out for 4 Brainstorms. 4 Delver Secrets, 4 Stormbound Geists, 4 Sultai Scavengers. You could also use the Gurmag Anglers, but I felt like with These creatures are too expensive to cast unless you're using Delve, but if you have like 8 Delve creatures in your deck, then you don't get to cast them using Delve anyway because you don't have that much in your graveyard. So I decided not to go with the Gurmag. I might actually put a couple Gurmag Anglers in because he's pretty tough. The problem is like people just know to remove it because it's obviously 5 damage creature. That's why I really like the Stormbound Geist. I'll probably put another one back in, make it 4 here and get rid of maybe a Ravenous Rats. I went ahead and put Ravenous Rats in because they're just kind of hilarious for troll value. Making your opponent discard a card whenever you play them. They're like not enough for an opponent to want to use a counter spell on, but it puts you at an advantage. And they're also just a fine throwaway blocker too. Like nobody's going to waste removal on them. Nobody's going to counter spell them, generally speaking. So they offer a great tempo change by making your opponent discard a card. And then they also end up doing a fair amount of damage over the turns because it's a control deck. So you know you're going to be playing like 20 turns if things are going well. So the Ravenous Rat's damage can add up over that time. Doomblade's great. The only downside of it is if you run into a black deck, then it's worthless. Chainer's Edict is great as well. It causes your opponent to sacrifice a creature, and then you can flash it back for 7 mana, which is expensive, but obviously late in the game it's still useful. Mortuary Mire allows me to get a creature back that's been killed, mostly that Sultai Scavenger or a Delver. Either one would be good to get back. Although, yeah, the Ravenous Rats, all of them would be good to get back. They're all efficient creatures. So it helps me get that back. Evolving Wilds helps me find my swamps, and it also thins the deck out. Because essentially what Evolving Wilds does, while it's slower, it gets rid of 2 land cards to play 1, which makes, once you have enough land in your deck, once you have enough land on the battlefield, the Evolving Wilds really helps you draw less land. So it's great to have. As long as you have enough land, you want to be filtering out lands by essentially wasting them, because Evolving Wilds counts as a land. It helps you grab a land, but then you discard it. Dismal Backwater comes in tapped, but it gives you black or blue, which is great for the deck. Delver of Secrets is a great card turn 1 or even turn 2. After that it's a little less great, but it's still a 3/2 flyer, so if your opponent doesn't have flying, it's good. Stormbound Geist is flying with Undying, which again turns off their removal. If they kill it, it only gets better. Preordain and Ponder are just going to help you draw cards and also filter your library to grab what you need. In that game, I think I mostly grabbed everything because it happened to be what I needed. But a lot of times you'll draw land when you don't need land, or you'll draw cards when you need land, and these will help you filter that stuff. That's what helps us run 20 lands successfully with this deck. Even though it wants a little more, especially it wants a little more black land, I think. But we can run as few as 2 swamps because we've got ways to find swamps with Ponder, Preordain, and Evolving Wilds. So there's 12 ways to find a swamp, and then Mortuary Mire comes in as black as well, and then there's 4 additional black sources here. So there's a total of 12 island sources. There's a total of 8 swamp sources, and then plenty of ways to grab swamps. Sultai Scavenger I already went over. The Delve mechanic makes him good. Mind Rot, again, we're just looking for card advantage, especially over decks that aren't control decks, that don't have a way to draw cards. If you can run a deck out of cards, it's pretty much done. And then you can just take over and do whatever you want. Doomblade, obviously great. Chainer's Edict, great. Counterspell, if you can leave 2 blue mana open, you can really screw up their day by just countering whatever they do, costing them extra turns, costing them extra mana. And it can also be used to save your creatures if they're worth saving. So anyways, I hope you liked that video. I hope you liked kind of this deck. If you want to stay under the budget, you'll have to swap out Preordain. But I think everything else in there is relatively good. The only thing you might want to swap out is I think I would do 1 less Ravenous Rats. I would do 1 more Stormbound. Might do 3 Disfigures and 4 Doomblades. Doomblades are pretty dang good for most of your matchups. Very rare that you'll run up against a mono black, so even if they've got some black creatures, Doomblade really helps. this figure is great. It's cheap, but this kills everything, no matter what size it is, as long as it's not black. This only does -2, which gets rid of a lot of stuff in the format. Or if you use your chump blocker Ravenous Rats and then play this, it'll kill most. Most stuff's three power or less, so 3 toughness or less rather. So I don't know. It's a pretty fun deck. It's not like my favorite deck I've ever used because the games kind of last long and you have to be a little more intelligent in how you operate it. There's not necessarily a cut and dry game plan every game. You're kind of playing on your feet as you go, and a lot of times things don't look good for you and you're actually really very much in control. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video.